overlooking a Caribbean blue bay in the southwest of Saint Lucia and guarded by spectacular 2,500-foot volcanic spires. Soufriere, a tropical paradise lush with things to do and see, awaits you. Here are 6 compelling reasons for you to visit this Caribbean respite. Soufriere is on the west coast of Saint Lucia, an island in the eastern Caribbean Sea. Was founded in 1746 and contains a population of approximately 8,000. In the 1550s, the pirate Francois Leclerc, better known as Pegleg, established a settlement there, despite the presence of local inhabitants known as Caribs. By the mid-17th century, the French started attempting to settle the island in earnest, although the Anglo-French rivalry for the island continued for more than a century and a half beyond that. The island changed hands between the French and Britain a total of 14 times, primarily for the sugar production developed on the island. You will find aqueducts built in the mid-18th century by the French, and you can still visit today a historical sugar mill, which is now the site of a lovely restaurant. The name Soufriere means sulfur mine or volcanic area. Mineral baths were built originally in 1784 for French soldiers under Louis XVI, underneath what is now known as Diamond Falls. It is said that the Empress Josephine bathed there. In the wake of the Napoleonic Wars, Saint Lucia was successfully held by the British. Saint Lucia remained a protectorate of the UK from that point until achieving independence over 150 years later in 1979. Soufriere is a very popular tourist destination. It has a deep bay on the lee side of Saint Lucia, which is ideal for deep draft cruise ships, and stands at the base of the very scenic volcanic spires known as the Petite and Gros Pitons, which are between 2,400 and 2,700 feet above sea level. Both peaks offer hiking trails leading up to scenic overlooks, and guides are available in Soufriere along the waterfront to assist in climbing these trails. I believe a guide is required for those climbs and can cost approximately $50 per person. A botanical garden with an exquisite historic waterfall is very accessible from the downtown area. The fee to enter is a modest $7 US. Under a tropical canopy, the garden offers a great respite from the heat. The trace minerals in the water results in color changes of the waterfall over time. I found it worthwhile to engage a guide at the Botanical Garden on my first visit for an additional $20 US tip. It was really worth it to me. Some other attractions include a cave full of bats on the north rock face in the bay, an adventure park with zip lining, many possible waterborne tours, hiking, snorkeling, and scuba diving adventures. I particularly enjoyed walks through the Fisherman's District and along the coast to the south of town. It was a pleasant way to walk to Pitons Falls with its hidden baths, or access the north side of Paradise Beach, which offered views of vessels moored in the area. The entry fee for Pitons Falls was a modest $3 US. Don't be surprised to encounter domestic animals such as chickens, goats, cows, or pigs on such walks around town. Food costs are commensurate with US prices. Breakfast can cost up to $25 on a rooftop location. US dollars is accepted in most places, though the exchange rate is not always going to be to your benefit. A taxi to or from the airport and Soufriere costs approximately $70 US. There are multiple grocery store locations within Soufriere, with a very convenient one right downtown. As you might expect, grocery costs were not cheap in a small town on a Caribbean island, and availability of provisions is limited. Taxis are normally available on demand between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. along the waterfront. The roads are narrow and often do not include sidewalks. There are also deep ditches to facilitate drainage along the roads or along sidewalks where they exist, so be careful to avoid stepping into a ditch and falling. My first night in Soufriere, the sound of tree frog chirping in the night took a bit of getting used to. Land accommodations were affordable. I stayed at an Airbnb for $70 a night. The unit did not have air conditioning and was hard to find, but the property had a nice fan, was conveniently located, was large, clean, and comfortable. It can get hot and humid between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., but frequent and short rain showers tend to act as natural air conditioning. Visitors should ensure they bring light, moisture-wicking clothing, sunscreen, sunglasses, perhaps a floppy hat. A rain shell or umbrella might also come in handy. On the waterfront, there are 2 docks that service the local charter businesses and the comings and goings of passengers from cruise ships. Of particular note is that the cruise ships attracted here are not the typical Carnival Cruise or Norwegian lines, but rather tall ship passenger vessels such as Sea Cloud, Eye of the Wind, Blue Clipper, or Royal Clipper. The southernmost dock seemed dedicated to the local charter businesses, while the northern dock was the destination for the cruise ship dinghies and also served as a dinghy dock for those visiting cruisers. An additional fuel dock is available on the north side of town. There is no anchoring allowed by recreational sailboats, as the bay is extremely deep. Mooring ball availability is high, and the cost was approximately $20 US per night. You can either pay for the ball during normal business hours in the downtown harbor front office, or wait for a ranger to come directly to you, either in the early evening hours or in the morning hours. If you arrive from the water, prepare to be met by friendly, independent locals looking to offer their particular services or goods. They will likely offer to bring you to a mooring ball for a tip, but remember that you pay the marine management rangers for the mooring balls. These rangers also provide some random security patrols in the late evenings, but I would guard against the possibility of late night visitors looking for opportunistic petty theft, as many poor locals have access to boats. Walking in the area seems safe. For sailors requiring repairs, there is not a lot of hardware stores or chandleries at this location, but the local businesses rely on tourists for income, so the port is very friendly to visiting sailors. If I found myself sailing the Caribbean, this might be a place I would revisit and stay for a couple of nights, especially for the hiking, waterfalls, and the backdrop of the Pitons.